Hey everybody, this is Steve with another episode of Keep 'em Rolling. This is the Show of Shows 2023 Part 2. And this is going to include all of my items that I found at the show because there were some really cool things I picked up. And then on top of that, I'm going to talk a little bit about my opinion of the show and what went on and so forth and so on. I'll do that at the end, and it's not going to be very long. So on that note, let's get right to it. Pickups Show of Shows 2023. All right, everybody, here are the items that I picked up at the Show of Shows 2023, except for Max there. We've had Max for a while, but he likes to come and investigate when I'm doing videos. And, you know, there's that small part of me that looks at these items laid out on the table, and I think to myself, gosh, I was down at this show for 2 days, and I spent almost 12 hours in this show, and this is all I have to show for it. But that's what's so great about this show, it's not about bulk buying. This show, it's about filling out your collection. So if you're someone who's just getting started, it's about, filling those holes. If you're someone who's been collecting for a while, it's about, maybe upgrading. And if you're someone who's an advanced collector, it's about finding those special items to elevate your collection even more. And this show does not disappoint. So the first item to share with you is actually something I did not get at the show. It's this little knife right here. On the drive down, I was getting driver fatigue, so I decided to stop at an antique mall I saw advertised, and huge place, but just absolutely no militaria. But I did find this, a little kind of custom-made knife. Someone put a really cool aluminum handle on here. It's real heavy duty, very sharp. The maker mark on the blade, this company was around before World War II and then up into the 70s and 80s. So who knows the, age of the knife. It came with the nice little leather scabbard here in really good condition. Almost looks homemade to me, but just a cool piece. And for 25 bucks, I thought it was neat enough to come home and go into my collection. Now, before we get into the rest of the stuff, I want to show you all something here because we always talk about how big this show is. And for those of you who haven't been there, I want to just reinforce that. This is the program that I talked about earlier. And the cost of this, $6 if you're not a member. If you're a member of the OVMS, this is actually free. And in the center of the program, this right here is the table layout for the hall. And each one of these little tiny boxes on here represents one table. Here's the entrance down here, and you can see absolutely how massive this show is. And the way you usually shop this show, if you look down here, we go from A all the way down here to W. So it's just incredible. If you shop the show, generally what you're going to do is you're going to come in, you're going to go down one row all the way down on one side, get to the end, and then come back that same row on the other side because there is so much to see. If you just walk down the middle looking, left, right, left, right, left, right, you're going to miss so much. So this is why it takes almost a full day just to get through the show one time. And then to complicate matters is you have a lot of dealers who bring extra stuff to sell. They don't want to sell things and then sit there with an empty table. It's not profitable to them. So what they do is they have stuff under the table. And what often happens is as they sell things, they bring new things out. So you might walk down this row, at 9 o'clock on Friday morning when the show opens, walk down this row again at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday and see all new things because the dealers have replaced their stock. So it's absolutely crazy. Now, on to some of the stuff that I picked up. We're going to start here with this cap. And this is in no order, if you will. This cap just happened to be the first thing that I did pick up. Navy cap. I really like this. I've never seen one that has the rate and rank actually embroidered right onto the cap. So that was cool. It's got this UU here on the back. And this is post-World War II, probably late 40s, early 50s. The rank and rating is for a cryptologic technician, second class. You can see that in there. So just a cool little cap. The price on this was $35, and I'm going to try and give you the prices for everything here so you know what I paid at the show. Moving on, with the help of Max, we have this cap right here, and this cap is for the CCC, or the Civilian Conservation Corps. And I have kind of a sub-collection going right now of CCC items. They're really not easy to find, so I try to pick them up when I see them. This one's unissued. The gentleman that I got it from said he bought like a whole bulk of these that were unissued, and he's down to his last few. When we look at the tag here, I'll come down here, look at the tag here inside, you can see that it is just absolutely crispy. The date on it, September 6, 1940. And the CCC was the organization that was created during the 1930s to help get young men back to work. And a lot of the guys that served in the CCC would go on to serve in World War II. So it's kind of a nice transitional type of piece. The price on this was $25, which I thought was incredibly fair. I see these all the time for, $40, $50. And in some cases, like last year, in fact, at the Show of Shows, a person had one in a case and I asked about it, same exact cap. And they wanted like $125 for it. So to pick it up for $25, I was quite pleased. Now, to show you how unique the show is and why I love it, is I found this piece right here. And this piece, it's a wood clamp. It dates from probably the 20s, the 30s. But look at this right here on here. You see United States Navy property with an early contract number. This is actually pre-World War II. I mean, how cool is that for this piece to survive? Who knows what this piece was used for as far as repairing things or building things? And what I'm going to do with this, I'm actually going to put this piece with my CB display, my construction battalion display. So I think it'll make a nice addition to that. But just a cool, unusual piece. Now, the price on this, I'll get to that in a minute because this was actually part of a bulk deal that I was able to put together with a dealer. So we're now going to move on to this piece here. We're going to ask Max to, hey Max, can you move? I just need you to, come on. Can I have, so now you want to play? Come on, buddy. Come on. Well, what we see, I'm going to have to, come on. Dude. There you go. What we see here is a U.S. mail bag. Thanks, Max. Oh, here we go. You are such a ham. I tell you what. Oh, I don't want to hear that. Get those, ow! Get those claws off that bag. Well, what we have, I guess what we can do is we can come back to this in just a moment. So we're going to move over to here now until Max follows us. And this was a surprise. I did not expect to find this. This was on the table with the wooden clamp, and the two dealers that had these tables, just nicest guys. And that's the thing, at the show, everybody was so nice. They were fun to talk to. They were fun to deal with. He had this tagged as a British battle jerkin, and when I looked at it, I'm like, I don't think it's British. I think it's U.S., and in fact, it is U.S. What we have here is a M1917 U.S. battle jerkin, okay? You can tell by the buttons. The U.S. used these kind of black plastic buttons, and then by the fact that the buttonholes are not reinforced. The British ones, the buttonholes are actually reinforced. This right here, the battle jerkin was used by the British. They've been using them for centuries. And during World War I, it was kind of a popular thing. We copied a lot from the British just because we were kind of new at this whole war thing. So this was one of those things copied along with our helmets. And these right here were popular for the various troops that had issues wearing the long overcoats. So if you think about troops like motorcycle riders, dispatch riders, if you think about members of the tank corps, if you think about truck drivers, things like that, that's what these were popular for, because you didn't have to deal with that long overcoat. These helped keep you warm and without having to fight all that extra bulk. That was their purpose. They're very heavy insulated. They're a wonderful thing. I actually have a reproduction one that I've worn before, and it does keep you warm, amazingly enough. I cannot stress, though, how hard it is to find these things. So to get one, it was a treat. The price on it, and you can see that there is some condition issue. You know, the liner is in pretty rough shape. The leather does have a few spots, but nothing that detracts from the display of this piece. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. The price on it, when I flipped the tag over, I thought it said $650. So I inquired, and because the tag was kind of fuzzy, and the dealer was like, oh, no. I didn't ask him if it was $650. I just said, hey, can you help me with the price on this? And he said, yep, I got $65 on it. And I was like, oh, that is a good deal. So I said, I'd like to take this. I'd like to take that. What can you do if I take both? And he's like, how about 75 for both? So I got this for 50 and I got the clamp for $25, which once again, I felt was a very, very fair price. And I'm very fortunate to be able to add this to my collection. The only problem that I had in buying these two items is I bought them very early in the show. And that's one thing that this show is notorious for, is if you see something you like that really is calling your name and it's a good deal, you need to buy it right away. If you leave it there, it will be gone. I guarantee it. And an example of this is I was speaking with one dealer, and on his table, he had two beautiful U.S. Crusher caps. He had a khaki one and he had an OD green one. They were gorgeous. I don't need them because I already have these in my collection. The prices on them, I believe, was $175 for the khaki and $225 for the OD green one. And as I'm standing there talking to him, I just put the OD green one back onto the styrofoam head that he had it displayed on. And I didn't know there was a guy standing right behind me, and he just swoops right in and he's like, takes the cap and he's like, is this the price? And the dealer's like, yep. And he goes, okay, I'll take this one. And then he grabs the khaki one, no, because I'll take this one too. And I don't want to make it sound like he jumped in and stole these from me. He didn't. I mean, he was polite and everything else, but it just shows you how fast things move at this show. If those were caps that I wanted and I set them down to think about them, they would have been gone. So I grabbed this, but the problem I had was lugging that thing around for the next like three and a half, 4 hours, which was kind of funny. I got my weightlifting done for the day. You can go to your car, but it's a long walk, or you can ask the people at the table to hold it, but I don't like to do that unless it's something really big or special or what have you. So, that's the I guess, row you have to hoe. So, $75, $50 for that, $25 for this. And then back to the mailbag. I've been looking for one of these for years, and I cannot stress how long I've been looking for one of these. And I have found many examples over the years, but the problem is that the examples always have condition issues. Either they're ripped up, they're just heavily used, this stuff is crossed off, troop names are written across because it was used by the scouts at one point. These are broken off, this is missing, there's always the handle's gone. There's always been some issue in the ones I found, and they've been very expensive. So when I saw this one, I could not believe the condition. It's just beautiful all around. There's no holes, there's no tears. Everything is complete. It's got the lovely transitional handle here, so the green body with the khaki handle. Everything is complete. It's dated 1944. It's just a nice wartime example. And just to kind of give you an idea of what these were used for, these were used to move mail up to the troops, etc. They originally had leather accents on the bottom and the top. They did away with those and just went to a canvas because it was more durable. These were used all the way up through Korea. This one, as I said, is dated 1944, and just an excellent, excellent example. The price on this was $100, and I was happy to pay the $100 because I have seen these once again out in the wild with lots of damage on them, and the price tends to be, $150, $200, $250. So, very pleased to pick this up. Now, let's move on to, now he's perched on the jerkin. Are you comfortable there, kitten? Let's move on to the overcoat. And yes, I did buy an overcoat. Now, the reason I picked this up, well, there are many reasons that I picked this up, so let's get right into it. First of all, just to let you know, I paid $95 for this overcoat. Overcoats today, they used to almost be free. No one wanted to deal with overcoats. Now, they're up in the $45, $50 range. I've seen them at antique shops for $100. I've seen them at flea markets I was at a flea market in Florida, and a guy had $250 on one, which I thought was really ridiculous, especially on a 95-degree day. But I digress. I picked this one up because of the following. First, I love the fact that it's got kind of the mid-war buttons when they were trying to conserve brass, so they went to these plastic buttons. It's got the discharge insignia, but what makes this so special is over here on this sleeve. And you have to bear with me while I navigate through furniture here. Look at that. That is a theater-made Army Air Force insignia in bullion. Just absolutely gorgeous. Below it here, we have the rank of sergeant. But that's only half of it. Let's go over to the other side. Because on the other side, we have a theater-made China, Burma, India insignia in bullion, which is just gorgeous, with another sergeant rank. And then, if we come down to the cuff here, we have 2 gold overseas bars for a year overseas and in a 3-year service stripe, also in bullion. This is one incredible jacket. This particular airman, if you will, really took pride in his overcoat. I've never seen one marked up like that. And that's the reason I picked this up, was because of the fact, sorry, he's a little wobbly, because you find the China, Burma, India jackets. In fact, I saw probably a dozen of various enlisted bands and officers' jackets with the CBI insignia on them. And they all start to look the same. But to find something like this is so different and so unique. I was just excited to be able to bring this home and add it to my Air Force collection. Now, I do want to give a shout out here. We're going to kind of come back over to the table. And the shout out I want to give is to Advanced Guard Militaria. And that's their website right there. For those, Max, I need you to kind of let them get a good eye of that. And why I want to give them a shout out, and they have not paid me. I did not receive a discount or anything like that to say this. I've dealt with them before. They have an amazing setup at the Show of Shows. Their stuff is incredible. It's almost like shopping a museum. But the shout out comes because when I bought the jacket, I asked if I could leave it with them. I was almost done with the show, and I had a few more things I had to look at. I just didn't want to carry it with me. It's heavy, but I also didn't want to damage the bullion. And they were like, sure, you can leave it, no problem. Come pick it up when you're done. So when I came back, I said, I'm here to pick up the jacket. They had it packed up in this beautiful garment bag. I mean, it was all folded in there gorgeously. I had bought something else from them. They had that in there. It was just great customer service. They didn't charge me for the bag. And what's so nice is this bag allowed me to transport the uniform home without having to worry about damaging it or getting it dirty or having, it's in a car and it's just loose like that. So a really big shout out goes to Advanced Guard Militaria. Thank you for being consummate professionals. All right, this brings us now to the last 2 items I picked up. And these are probably my favorite. I mean, I love everything that I've got, but these are my favorite. I love collecting headgear almost as much as John Boy loves collecting M1 helmets, or I believe it's Ninth Armored items. And the problem is that I've hit that point in my collection where I have I have a lot of nice examples, and it's hard to find unique things. Well, I found some unique things. First of all, this cap right here. This gentleman was part of the American Red Cross, and this cap ticks all the boxes off. You have, well, let's start with the insignia. You have the correct insignia on the front here for the American Red Cross. The cap is a nice early cap. It actually has the back strap here. The cap has the correct Red Cross buttons, which is what you want to see with a cap like this. And then it's got a beautiful interior manufacturing label, which I love to see. That's just like so cool. I did have to pay up for this cap. These are not easy to find. In fact, I have never seen one out in the wild. I've only seen them in books, and I think I saw one at a museum at one time. I had to pay up for it. It was $200 for the cap. He originally wanted $250, but I bought another item off his table, and because of that, he gave me a nice discount. So the other item I bought from him was this right here. Check that out. That is the Air Transport Command. The badge on the front there is actually the monument at Kitty Hawk for the Wright brothers. And this cap, it's a double screwback badge. So it's got 2 posts and 2 nuts to affix to the cap, which is what you want to see. The cap is beautiful, and it has the correct ATC buttons on the side here, which is also what you want to see. Another thing I love about this cap is when we look at the inside, another outstanding manufacturing label, Brownies Military Equipment, Buffalo, New York. And in fact, the dealer that I got this from, they are from Buffalo, so it makes sense that, you know, they would have something possibly from their area, came out of an estate and so forth. Now, the Air Transport Command, for those of you who don't know, these were civilian pilots that were contracted by the military to fly aircraft, to transport goods, and so forth and so on. It's a neat kind of unsung branch. They did a lot of hump flying in the China-Burma-India theater. They did work with the WASPs and so forth and so on. Now, this cap was $250. I paid the $250, but he was nice enough to throw in this beautiful image of an Air Transport Command individual. And this is not the cap that is here on the table. Unfortunately, it'd be really cool if it was, but still, it's a very rare image. And, you know, I priced this out to $25, $30. So to have him just throw it in with the cap was incredible and really made my show, because this is another item that I've been looking for. And now to be able to add it to my Air Force collection is just outstanding. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the show of show finds for 2023, except for Max. And my other cat is here. That's why he is getting ready to, well, it's like Animal Kingdom here, you know? So that's it. That's the find for 2023. Absolutely a stellar show, and I'm so happy to be able to add these things to my collection. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the Show of Shows 2023 videos as much as I enjoyed filming them and bringing them to you. And I want to finish this 2023 Show of Shows series by answering a few questions that always seem to come up about the Show of Shows. Question number 1 is the show worth it? And is it too expensive? Question number 2 is it too crowded? Do I have to swim through layers of people to get to a table? And question number 3 is, are the dealers friendly? Or are they standoffish? So let's go right through. Question number 1, is the show worth it? That's really relative. I could walk in the show and see piles of U.S. field gear and be disappointed, and you could walk in and see piles of U.S. field gear and be elated. So once again, it's basically your own view of what makes a show great. Same thing with cost. I could walk in and see a U.S. canteen for $50 and be just disgusted that that's so overpriced. And you could walk in and see a U.S. canteen for $50 and be like, holy cow, that is an amazing deal. So it's all relative. I will tell you this, it's a massive show. There is so much there to look at. It's incredible. I will tell you this, prices. If you go to one table and you see that canteen for $50, you may walk to the next table and see it for $75 and the next table and see it for $35. This is how crazy this show is. So to me, it is worth it. It is worth it just to be able to see the sheer amount of military available. And it's worth it because when you go to this show, you never know what you're going to come home with. You can start out with your list and come home with other amazing items that you never thought you needed for your collection until you saw them and you're like, wow, I've never seen one of those before. I want to add that to my collection. So that's what makes it worth it to me. As far as other costs, you know, you do have things like, for me, I had 2 nights in a hotel, fuel, food, the admission costs, parking. And what I do is I really don't count that because this is a once a year vacation for me. So all that other stuff is just written off. So I don't even worry about it. But that's me. You have to make that call. Now, the second question is the show too crowded? Do I have to swim through, once again, layers of people to get to a table? And Thursday, it's beautiful. Okay, Thursday's members only, and it's just so nice. You can really spend time interacting with the dealers and the like. As far as Friday and Saturday, it's a lot busier. You saw those huge lines. However, the hall is so big that once you're in, the crowds simply disperse.
okay? There are times where you run into choke points. There are times where you run into a table where there's 5 or 6 people kind of all there at the same time, and I simply go around. I come back later. So you're not swimming through massive amounts of people where you can't even get up to a table to look at things, okay? And then number 3, are the dealers standoffish? And honestly, no. You know, the entire time I was there for 2 days, I really had no bad I had a strange interaction with the dealer, but no bad interactions with the dealer. I mean, pleasant, willing to work with you, willing to answer questions. You just have to treat the dealers with respect. And you do that by greeting them. You know, hi, how are you doing today? You do that by asking to see things. Do you mind if I take that hat off the mannequin head and look at it? That's how you deal with the dealers. And I had a great time. I learned things. I made friends with dealers. I saw dealers that I know that I'm now friends with, you know, and it's so are the dealers standoffish? No. And I'm going to finish this because this video is way too long by simply saying that if you're a military collector and you're able to make it to the show of shows one time, I strongly recommend you do it. I can't guarantee it, never guarantee anything, but I feel strongly that you will not be disappointed. It is a fantastic show. So, on that note, this is Steve, thanking you for all coming along on this crazy ride that's collecting militaria. But this is Steve reminding all of you to, well, keep them rolling.